Welcome to the House Edge Sports Network, the pulse of youth sports.
What's up, everybody? Tyler McLaren from the HESN podcast here, episode 6. We got another football show here for you. It is the beginning of the NCAFA season. It's also the beginning of the CIS season, so we are in full football swing at this time of year. Glad you are all joining me here today on the podcast. On this podcast today, we're going to be talking to HESN President, CEO, bigwig, big man on campus, Jesse Card. He's going to be talking to us a little bit about some of the Bantam and some of the Pee Wee stuff that he's been seeing as he's been doing his rounds throughout NCAFA. He obviously is a coach for the Bantam Bell Warriors for the second year here, and so he's obviously juiced in with that team. But over the last few weeks, he's been going around to a lot of these teams, talking to a lot of the coaches, and doing what HESN does, which is really reaching out to the community, really trying to make sure that all the people that want to be involved are involved, and that all the teams are getting represented in as fair a way that we possibly can with the resources that we have available. So, like I mentioned earlier, CIS and NCAFA seasons are both upon us. CIS, we had some big games so far this year. Carleton got their butts whooped by McMaster, and obviously disappointing to see the Ravens fall like that to the McMaster Marauders, but we all know that the McMaster Marauders are a very good team. But I think we all can agree that we were expecting a little more from the Carleton Ravens. I think Jesse will probably talk to that a little bit. Just want to remind everybody before we get too deep into the conversation with Jesse Card about a couple housekeeping things and a little business to take care of. The first things first is we want to talk to you guys about EPA, Elite Performance Academy, run by Pat Woodcock, Donnie Rees, the best performance center in the city for training young men, young athletes, and women to become better human beings through sports, through training. They really want to make sure that they can get these athletes at a young age and make sure that they can train them and sculpt their minds and their bodies so they can become better athletes and better people for whatever sport that they play. So that is EPA, Elite Performance Academy. It is by far the best facility in Ottawa training people right now. You can go to Elite Performance Academy. Just Google Elite Performance Academy Ottawa. You'll check them out there. Go to our YouTube channel. We got tons of great content on there, tons of great hot links you can click on. It'll take you right to the website. If you have any questions, obviously direct message Jesse or I through any of our social media platforms that we have. They're the best. They're the best, and I'm not ashamed to say that. And even though we are business partners, they are the best, and we're really excited to be working with them and make sure that you guys check out all their stuff. Elite Performance Academy is the name of the institution, so go check them out. The other thing I want to mention is Capital QBs, Ron Raymond doing his thing, training kids and making sure that he can help with the development of young quarterbacks and football athletes so they can become more fine-tuned for their specific positions. There are some great things happening. I know Ron has been really working on a really great 5-on-5 program. He's got a jugs machine. He's got specific one-on-one training. So you can go to Capital QBs, just Google that, or go to HESN and click on the hot links for any of these podcasts that you have here. It'll take you right to his website. If you have any questions, once again, you can contact Jesse or I or Ron directly through any of our social media platforms, and we can connect you, and you guys can ask some questions. If you want to get your parents some information, just let us know, and we can give you guys all that important information for Ron's amazing program, which is called Capital QBs. It's really great that we have these great partners working with HESN, because without these great partners, we really don't feel that we could provide the best possible service and best possible advice to these young athletes who are looking to better themselves through sports. As everyone knows, HESN is the pulse of youth sports, and we really want to make sure that we can give the best information and the best possible advice to these kids. So make sure that you guys support both of these great companies and both these great movements, that some great people that are local and definitely committed to doing the right thing. We got a lot of other great things. We're gonna be having a football combine coming up in November. This final date has not been official, so we won't say an expected date, but it's gonna be around November 11th. We're just waiting to finalize all the details, but it's gonna be a combine so that kids can come out, they can test themselves, and they can make sure that they are going to be sort of within the range of the other athletes in their age division. The key thing is we want to make sure we get a baseline number so that they can go from that event, train, and come back to the next one in the spring and see how much improvement they've had over their off-season training regiment. So that's going to be something really exciting. And once again, we want everybody to make sure to go to the HESN YouTube channel, subscribe. We want comments on all these things. We have tons of topics that we want to get to, but we really want to make sure that we get to the topics that you guys want to talk about. If you are playing for any team, you guys can reach out, tell your coaches to contact us. You guys can contact us directly through social media or the YouTube channel, and you can put a comments on the comment section. We will talk to your coaches, we'll bring them on the podcast, and we'll promote your team. We have no agenda here. We're just looking to talk some football. And that's what the HESN podcast is all about. We want to make sure that people can reach out. We can make sure that you guys get the proper information so you guys can at least stay up to date with some of these things that are happening all over the world of sports in the city of Ottawa. And whether that be football, basketball, or hockey right now, we're about it all, and we want to make sure that the HESN podcast can provide you guys with a little bit of extra information and a little bit of support for whatever it is that you do. Now, right now, we are going to go to Jesse Card, the president of HESN, and we are going to talk to him a little bit about Bantam, Pee-wee, and a little bit about CIS as well, and some of the players that he's been watching on his team, the Bell Warriors Bantam team. And it's good. It's a really great conversation, and hope you guys enjoy it. And without further ado, here's Jesse Card.
Welcome to the House Edge Sports Network, the pulse of youth sports.
All right, I'm glad to be joined by HESN President Jesse Card here on the HESN Football Podcast. How you doing here, brother?
I'm good, man. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, no problem. So we got 1 week in the books of NCAFA. It's obviously that great time of year when the weather starts to get a little bit cooler, and that means it's football season around. You had a game this weekend. I'd like to get a little bit of your impressions of your game and your impressions about the week one Bantam overall. So what did you see and what did you feel so far week one in Bantam?
You know, week one, man, it's in the books. It's crazy to think, like, all the preparation and the excitement, you know, kind of wanting to redeem yourself from the year before. And here we are, we're already in week one. Week one's kind of interesting. The first set of games actually happened last weekend at TD Place with the Orleans Bengals playing the Raiders.
That's right.
At all four levels. So my impression there was, you know, obviously an amazing facility. The kids being able to play on that, especially the Tykes, and seeing themselves on the jumbo screen.
Yeah.
I think that's a great initiative to have that available, and the more we can do that sort of stuff, I think is awesome. But the big takeaway from that weekend is that at Pee-wee, both those teams look pretty strong. Obviously, the Bengals have some, you know, real firepower with some studs that we got to know last year. DB number 2, obviously, you remember Nathan.
Oh yeah.
So he was you know, back to his usual form. At the Bantam level, though, I mean, we had heard rumors that the Raiders were going to be a force to be reckoned with, and so far that looks to be true. I think they beat the Bengals at Bantam 46-0.
44-0 it says here on the NCAFA website, but we're splitting hairs here. One thing I did notice was some sick new uniforms, though.
Yeah, new uniforms. Yeah, that's a good point. New logo, a new kind of fresh logo that they went with. They got a new president there that we know of. Really nice guy. So I think that organization is, as you know, I'm an NFL Oakland Raiders fan.
Unfortunately, yes.
And I love seeing the black and silver out there. So I think that organization's really, you know, kind of on the up and up right now, which is good to see. Their Bantam team obviously has a lot of JV athletes that are, you know, very experienced football players playing at an elite level in the summer last few years. So having that on that team, I mean, they've got a lot of weapons that other teams are going to have to deal with, including my own that I'm helping coach at Bell Warriors.
Talk to us a little bit about how your guys' first game went.
Yeah, so week one's in the books. Always at this time, the toughest part. We heard actually Coach Wayne Jacobs talk to that of the Vikings midget team in the QMFL that they have. He says at this time, people are on vacation, and it's numbers are always difficult with people kind of finishing the OVFL season, needing at least a week off to kind of recuperate. So being able to run scrimmage and all these things, I think every team is in the same boat. So it's kind of a mute issue. But we had the same problem. Numbers were kind of fluctuating here and there for the last few weeks. But Saturday afternoon, we show up at Quinns Point, and we play the Giants, and don't really know what to expect. The big thing that was fortunate on our end, unfortunate for the Giants, is that lovely Tashimbi has undergone knee surgery. Or some sort of knee issue. So he is taking this season off, which would have been his first year at Bantam. And as we know, that guy's a special cat. So
yeah, not having to face him on your defensive game plan is a huge bonus to whoever team plays him, because he's a great kid and a great athlete, and a guy that I'll be disappointed not to say I just found that out. But you know what? Yeah. You can't. Injuries are part of the game, and healing and doing the right thing is also part of it. So glad to hear he's taken the necessary time to get better. But definitely an advantage for you guys not to have to face him week one.
Yeah, and we were dealing with some things too. Nick Sims was a MVP in the OVFL JV championship game. He had a couple forced fumbles, fumble recovery. This kid's potentially. I would even say he's one of the best linebackers, inside linebackers at his division in Ontario, and we have him. But he was on vacation this week one, so we didn't have him in the box. But we did have his counterpart at JV, Malik Yusuf, who's another one of the guys that you can put up there and with the rest of the linebackers in the province or the country for that matter. So he played a lights out game. Didn't really have to take over as the star or anything, but did his job well, and held the Giants' running game at kind of very, very limited yards the whole game, except for one bust. They have a real speedster at the Giants, as they always usually do, and he ripped one off for about 60. But my impression of the Giants were they got a great coaching staff there. The organization looks top notch. They've got a new president, new management team in there as well that look really organized and really enthusiastic to kind of bring the Giants back into the mind of all the NCAFA clubs.
Just to cut you off there quickly, because I remember when we were playing Bantam football, how good the Giants organization was. That team, and Jeff Karate was actually involved with that team back in the day, if you didn't know that, but the North Gloucester Giants were dominating Bantam teams. They had some of the best Bantam teams I'll ever remember that we ever see in the city of Ottawa. The new people, you have been so enthusiastic over the last 2 or 3 weeks since you've been communicating with some of these new people at the Giants, and just some of the great strides they're making, and some of the great initiatives that they've taken advantage of and doing for these kids. And I wanted you to explain to the listeners a little bit about some of these great new people and some of these awesome new initiatives that they've brought forward, including the team that they play from the States. That's a great question, Ty. I'm happy to talk about that.
It all started with Coach Mo, who's the Pee Wee head coach. I think he's a police officer with the Ottawa Police Force too, and a great guy that you and I have run into, over the course of the last 4 or 5 years. Yeah. He's been involved with the Panthers JV program. Just a really nice guy, and he had reached out, I think Thursday before their Saturday scrimmage with the Akron, Ohio team. And if you haven't seen the production of that, we put that out on the HESN YouTube channel, and it's racking up the views because it's really getting into the circles down in Akron. And people, all I can say is that I've been on Facebook on their page, and they're still talking about the experience that they were given up here in Canada from the Giants organization.
Cool. That's great.
Top rated. They said they fed them until they were about to bust. They just went over and above to represent Ottawa football, and the new organization there, Jeff Woodhouse is the new president there. We haven't had a chance to really get to know one another all that much because everyone's so busy. But this weekend I met another really nice lady, Yola, that's kind of managing the website there, and we got to talk a little bit while the Tykes and the Mosquitoes were playing. The Tykes were playing on the Saturday, the Mosquitoes played on the Sunday. But you know what? Just great people over there, looking to make a real big change and get kind of the recruitment happening out there again. So it's really great to see. And I'll tell you, I was shooting the Warriors Pee Wee versus the Giants, and the Coach Mo had the pregame going out there, and it looked like a CIS pregame for the Pee Wees on the Giants. And I tell you, any team coming in to see something like that, it got to be pretty intimidating, because I was.
Yeah. You know what? All we want to see with these kids is we want to see them get better every week. We want to see them become better people after the season is done and throughout the season. This is the type of thing when you got teams from Akron, Ohio, and wherever they're else, crossing borders. Forget about where you're from. Forget about what neighborhood you're from. Forget about your skin color or your welfare bracket or whatever. It doesn't matter. It matters about the sport of football, and that's great to see, and I'm really proud of what the Giants did there, and obviously I'm really excited to follow what they're going to be doing along with HESN over this next season. The other thing I wanted to talk to you about was a little bit about your game specifically, just about Malik, and about some of the things that we really want to see from some of the top-notch players, because Malik played JV Myers and your quarterback played JV Myers, and talk about the experience that they got from winning the championship and bringing it back to your Bantam team.
Yeah, it's a good question. I'd like to be able to spend a bit more time with each of them to talk about that. But my general feeling is that was a great experience for them to play some great teams. They were a dominant team. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. These guys have been in a development model somewhere, whether it's the Eagles, whether it's the Riders, or the Warriors. And, at the age of 15 or 16, they're starting to peak. And we just released James Keenan's highlight reel about a week ago, and it's racking up views, and people are starting to talk that this guy might be one of the, he is one of the premier quarterbacks for his division and his age in Ontario. He's mobile, he's smart, he understands the game, he's got a great arm and great accuracy, and he's only getting better with age. So he played a great game. I would say, I wish we were keeping stats at Bantam. I think that's something that AGSM would like to really work on next. But he probably rushed for over 65 yards. He scored, I believe, one rushing touchdown, had a passing touchdown. Probably could have had one or two more that our receivers couldn't reel in. But just a good performance. And what I see out of James as a difference, he was a 14-year-old last year stepping up into Bantam. And now at 15 and a second year, he's a lot more composed. His body's changed a lot in a year. He's 6'1" right now, about 175 at the age of 15. So, I mean, this kid is, I would say, probably the best quarterback in the city right now at his division. Malik, like I said, he showed a lot of discipline, something that, when you're a real high-intensity player, sometimes the good comes with the bad, and you can get some URs. But he seemed like he showed a lot of poise, and went out and led the team. So we got a lot of young guys. We had our depth in there from the second half on, and you know what? It's a good start. There's lots of work to do on our end, as sure all the other teams are in the same boat, but good start as we beat the Giants. I think it was 46-6 or something like that.
So you guys, successful week 1. Now what I want to do with you is I want to do everyone's favorite topic on the podcast based on all the feedback we get every year. We know what people want to hear us talk about. So I'm going to let you go here, and I'm going to let you talk about the power rankings, everyone's favorite power rankings. We're going to focus on the Bantam one right now. So talk to us a little bit about the top 4 teams in the Bantam power rankings, and I want everyone to know that Jesse did not do this by himself. This is the whole HESN team talking about it. We sit down, we look at the positives and the negatives. So Jesse's not a homer talking about his team. I want everyone to know that straight away. But nonetheless,
hey, we were ranked 5 last week.
There we go, exactly.
And
so,
in fact, Sandy Ruckstall said, I don't know, that number 5 team's hiding back there a little bit.
So you're saying that you're sandbagging yourself?
I'm not. Hey, okay. So let's just jump right into it.
Yeah.
Bel Air Lions were number 1 because they won the championship back to back over the last 2 years. We haven't seen them. They didn't play until this weekend. So,
yep.
And they won. They beat the. Can you see it there?
They beat the Bengals. It says 14-0 here, which is
14,
a little
14-0.
Surprising considering the fact that the Raiders beat the Bengals 44-0. But nonetheless, you don't want to take the scores into consideration. A W is a W. You got to beat the champs to be the champs, and I think it's only respectful to have them number 1. I like that.
So they stay where they are, right?
Yep.
At the shakeup happens here. I'm just sorting through all my windows on my computer here.
That's
so
no problem. I got 10 up myself here. But at the bottom line with the power rankings and with the Bantam division is week 1 and 2. It's really difficult to know who's who because even though you might play one team, like you mentioned earlier in the podcast, you don't really know which guys are on vacation. You don't know which guys are a little bit banged up potentially from OVFL or whatever. So I think the first 2 weeks are a little bit of a crapshoot. But after the second week, you really start to see the haves and the have-nots.
Yes.
And right now, tell us who we got number 2 and 3.
So number 2, the Raiders, after their decisive victory over Orleans in the first half of week 1 at TD Place, they jump right up to 2. And at 3, right underneath them, jump from 5 is the Bell Warriors. They're sitting at 3 right now in week 2. Canada Knights had a big win over the West Carleton Wolverines, and the interesting thing about that is that we weren't sure if we were going to see Mr. Tripp as the part of the West Carleton Wolverines edition this year. We know the high school football out in West Carleton and Arnprior is pretty good, and they got a lot of pride for the program out there, so you're never quite sure if you're going to see some of the best players that live out there playing for those Wolverines. But Hayden Tripp actually did play in that game, but he suffered a hamstring issue early on.
Okay.
So Hayden Tripp wasn't able to contribute for the full four quarters, and the Canada Knights, surprisingly, we didn't know much about what this team would look like, other than solid QB and Jared Valentino, who is there, and he's equipped with some great receivers as well. So I mean, they put a whooping on West Carleton, 40-0. So at number 4, the Canada Knights, you got to pay them the respect that they deserve. And I guess if I remember correctly, last week we had them basically in reverse spots.
Yeah.
So Canada, or maybe not actually, because I think Warriors were 5. I don't have last week's up here, but Canada Knights, Wolverines 4 and 5. Nepean Eagles beat the Myers Riders, so they're sitting at 6 with the Riders just behind them at 7. The Giants obviously losing to the Warriors, who jumped from 5 to 3, and the Giants are sitting at 8. Cumberland Panthers at 9, the Bengals at 10, and the Generals at 11. Although the Generals were able to put up 18 points this week, so we'll see what we get out of that team.
You know what? The thing is about the power rankings, the reason we want to do them early on is just so we can sort of set a baseline. So much of this is sort of just based on who you play, based on who we know. We don't really know what's going to happen. But like we said, this is week 1. After next week, I think we'll have a real good understanding of who some of the really good teams are, who some of the teams that are sort of developing are going to be. But at the end of the day, this is the time of year that everybody loves. Football is on. NCAFA's in full swing. This is really, really the best time of year to be a football fan in the city of Ottawa. We got Ottawa U, we got Carleton, we got Red Blacks. We got it all going on right now. And I want everyone to make... go ahead.
You know what I was just going to say, Ty, before you go away from that subject, I just want to know your thoughts on the Carleton game. There's quite a bit of media. Tim Baines just wrote an article I saw about the high expectations of the Ravens being potentially a Yates Cup contender, and they put out a dud out in McMaster.
Yeah.
Week 1 getting beat 40-10.
Yeah, that was we were watching it last night. It was tough. It's always tough to play at McMaster, so I'm always going to give week 1. You're sort of, it's live fire. A lot of guys maybe has their first games, but it was obviously a disappointing result. I don't think anybody will tell you that they'd be happy about it, considering last year they were right there in Hamilton. They ended up losing, I think, maybe 30-14 last year, but I do know they had a lead in the third quarter, and Carleton can't be happy. Coach Samara can't be happy. Jesse Mills did not look like he was comfortable in the pocket. It looked like he was rushed.
He threw for 375.
But it didn't look good.
38.
It didn't look good. But at the end of the day, it's week 1, and it's a team that they probably weren't expecting to beat anyways. I'm sure that when they look at their schedule, they do it like everyone does. That's a W, that's an L. I wouldn't be surprised if realistically they had that one as an L. Just means that there's more pressure on the games against Queens and the games against Laurier and the games against Windsor and U of T that really they probably should win, but now they really have to win, and they don't have that leeway. They'll have that leeway there.
They got the Mustangs coming in week 2, so it doesn't get any easier on the Ravens. But you're right. I think week 1 you can't put too much stock in a win or a loss.
You can't. You have to look at it sort of for, did we get some experience for some young guys? Did we get out of the game without many serious injuries, which I don't know about yet? But at the end of the day, it's week 1, and we just want to make sure that we just keep following it, because at the end of the day, this is football season. We got Ottawa U, like I said. We got Carleton. We got Red Blacks. We got NCAFA action coming right at you. Before I let you go, who do the Bell Warriors have next week?
The Warriors will face the Bengals out at the new turf at Millennium.
Nice.
The real marquee matchup next week will be the Canada Knights and the GS Raiders.
Oh, that's gonna be wicked.
So that's going to take place on Monday at the same time. I think the Bengals play the Warriors at Bob Barr Field in Canada.
Yep.
3 p.m. So I would say if you're going to go catch a game randomly in Ottawa in the CAFA, you want to go to that one. Like I said, Canada's sitting at 4th right now in the power rankings. They'll be taking on number 2. It really, the game that it was kind of like that this week for Pee Wee was the Warriors and the Giants. The Giants, number 11, took out the number 2 team.
Oh.
Quite decisively. I think that's worth noting.
Yeah.
The Warriors finished, they lost in the A-Cup last year to that powerhouse Panthers team that Jeff Karate coaches, and they were ranked number 2. They have to be pre-season. And they got a bit of a thumping. So that's going to shake things up on the Pee Wee power rankings quite a bit.
Well, you know what? That's what we want to hear. Great insight from yourself on the HESN podcast, episode 6. I want to thank you, Jesse, for taking time out of your busy day of coaching and running HESN to come and talk with us. And I will talk to you next week when we do our recap of week 2.
Yeah, I appreciate having me on. I always love talking about this stuff, and you're doing a great job with this podcast.
Oh, thanks, brother. We'll talk soon.
Okay, bye for now.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to the House Edge Sports Network, the pulse of youth sports.
Another great conversation with one of my best friends and business partners, and a guy that just has been doing so much for the city of Ottawa when it comes to local sports, especially football. The amount of time that he puts in and the amount of vision that he has always been an inspiration to me, and I'm proud to call him one of my best friends and business partners. So Jesse, thanks for coming on and letting us know a little bit about what you've been up to I know you had a lot to say there, but we want to keep these podcasts at a reasonable length so that people can consume them and enjoy them. But we'll get you back on next week. So again, thanks a lot for coming on. That was episode 6 of the HESN podcast. It was another football show. Every Monday, we are going to be recording a podcast that's going to be about sort of the recap from the weekend. We'll cover more in depth as the season gets closer. CIS, same with the CAF. We'll do power rankings every week, just like we mentioned in our conversation. It's really difficult at this time of year to do power rankings because you don't know the players who are injured, you don't know the players that are on vacation, and all these extra sort of variables that come into play. But after week 2, once we know who the teams are, once we know what everyone's really about, same thing in the CIS, we're going to have a lot more analysis and a lot more details that we can help you guys sort of break down, and you guys can enjoy when we talk about it. And so that's going to be every week. The next episode of the podcast, I'm not going to tell you who the guest is, but we're going to have a couple more football shows coming on because football's sort of in full swing right now. But I can tell you that it's a couple people. One person is going to be a president of one of the organizations in our city of Ottawa, and another one is a brand new face at a new organization who's been doing some amazing things. And they're going to be great conversations. We really are excited and happy that they're going to be coming on. So I'll be recording those later this week. And I hope that you guys are liking this podcast. This is just the beginning. We're going to be running this podcast all year round for all sports. So remember, HESN podcast is about the sports that we all love. This was a football episode. If you have any suggestions or comments, please go onto YouTube in the comment section. Put it right on there. We check them all out. Social media. Contact us. We are completely open to suggestions and completely open to different topics, and we'd love to have people come on, whether you're a player, parent, coach, whatever it is. Let us know what it is you want to talk about. Let us know what it is that you want to bring up for discussion, because I know that going forward we're going to have some really, really great conversations about how we can make the sports better, how can we make the training better, whatever it is. We got great conversations happening on the HESN podcast. Once again, I want to thank everybody for joining us. This was episode 6 of the HESN podcast. My name's Tyler McLaren. I want to thank you guys for joining us. That's everything for today. Peace.
The biggest youth football event is coming to Ottawa. EFC3 this November. Register now at HESN.co. Know where you stand. Get tested. Get ranked.
Welcome to the House Edge Sports Network, the pulse of youth sports.